This is really awesome. All right. Well, live on YouTube for the first time. Let's see if we can just keep it right there-ish.
Head's cut off.
There you go. Hey, that works.
That's awesome.
Right? I think that's good. I think that's good.
It'll work.
So that works. We have 6 minutes until we go live. Actually, the trick with this too is we'll do Instagram TV. So we'll record vertically for the first 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the rest of the show, we'll go Instagram Live. And then I'll take that video recording and then upload it to Instagram TV.
Cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Sea Dog. I think it's the first time I've ever called you Sea Dog.
Yeah, first time. And don't let it happen again.
All right, I don't want to hear anything from the peanut gallery. All right.
So I have San Fran, Silence, and that song Holo.
San Fran. I'm totally feeling that today. Let's absolutely do that. Absolutely do that.
Just don't play that one song we did last time.
That's the one with
I think it was like Backstreet Boys or something.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh, I was dying.
That's
bro.
right. He was during
I'm
90s
driving
week.
right down the community. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And then you had me singing like, I don't know what.
I just sing just about every song.
Yeah, I want it that way. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that
this
was
is so
like,
ridiculous.
oh gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt really bad for you. You're like, I'm gonna make this super awkward. That's not cool, bro.
That was awesome.
There you go. All right.
TV then.
Yeah. Really? 20% battery remaining? That's stupid. All right. Okay, so here's the deal, YouTube. If my battery dies, my battery's gonna die. So hopefully you'll get like, I don't know, 7 minutes of the show. Do we have a? I didn't even bring my charger.
Will it work on this?
Yes, it will. I think. Oh.
That's the new one, no? That's the.
I don't have no idea. Is this yours?
Does your phone have the small phone?
All right. So we should be able to make this work. Boom. You rock, man. Okay. I'm just gonna get this out of the way.
Solutions.
All of that solution. Winner. Right?
It is.
I think that. Okay, so don't allow. All right, cool. That works. Now we just have to make sure don't allow that nothing goes wonky. Perfect. Total like hack job.
You have some duct tape?
Right. I
think-
need duct tape. I'm good. I'm good with this. All right. I don't even know what USB device it is. Okay, you're right. This is so awesome. All right. So like, I'm so serious about this contract work. Like, I even have a contracting agreement
For what now?
for my VA. It's like
Oh, yeah,
Exhibit A. Like, this is what I like to do. This is what I don't like to do. I'm trying to streamline my life a little bit.
2 minutes.
Or trying to. Yeah. I'm trying to anyway. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. It's like taking one step forward and
Yeah.
5 steps back.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It happens sometimes. I can totally hear.
Yeah.
David, is this going to be used or?
Yeah, can you unlock it?
Probably it's not locked. Users.
Oh, okay, so the button.
It's also stupid. It's like my laptop's gonna die. So I'm like dying today. All right.
That's awesome.
Right? So I got the laptop plugged in, which is charging the phone, which is good. Winning.
Oh, that's awesome.
1 minute.
I just got to use this. I feel special.
There you go.
I hit the cough button, man. I feel good.
I was going to say, yeah, but he doesn't have a
The what? Oh, you could. You.
Can you email it to me? Email it to you? Yeah, email it to me. 10 seconds. $70.
Really?
It's not funny.
It's not playing. There we go.
I can barely.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Abhi, and it feels like it's still Labor Day. I don't know why it feels like it's still Labor Day. It still feels like it's Labor Day, and you know, in all things labor, and I would say in all things Labor Day, we should be laboring more. I think that's really the point of Labor Day. It's not to have a day off; it's to work harder. It's interesting to me. You know, I was getting a bunch of messages on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and everybody's like, they're out having a good time. One of my buddies was at a vineyard, and I thought, well, geez, you're clearly not getting anything done. And then I realized, why am I the only person that's working that's making phone calls? And then I wake up, I'm just like, you know, it's Monday. There's no way that people don't get anything done. And so I proceeded to run down Peachtree. Yep, no cars. Absolutely zero cars on the road. I still thought this is not possible, right? Like, people have to be working. And then so I drove around. Yes, I actually didn't drive around my own car. I drove my wife's car. So I can still technically claim I don't have a car. And I haven't had a car for the last 11 or 12 years since I've been in the city. And I was driving around, and I thought, well, geez, you know, there has to be somebody, there has to be some form of human civilization around Atlanta on Labor Day. Nope, absolutely not. Everybody's at home sleeping. And I'm like, you know what, does this really happen? I run like at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I have ADHD, I'm sure, like all the time. I drink coffee and I feel sleepy, right? So, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about just doing absolutely nothing, Christian, on Labor Day. I think that's a little bit of a challenge for me. I'm struggling with it.
I mean, I wasn't here for Labor Day, so...
See? Right. It's like you and everybody else. You don't went on vacations to invite me.
We could have hid you in the suitcase, but TSA didn't like that.
You know, that's not a very funny joke. That's not funny, man. I know I'm short and all, but you gotta go there. That's like below the belt. On a Wednesday.
You gotta keep you sharp-minded. Come on.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay. Alright. So I need to pick me up. Hit me with my music for today. Like the one track that I'm gonna listen to all day, every day for the rest of my life. What is it gonna be?
This is it.
Oh yes, I remember this one from last week. This was good. This was really, really good. All right, Atlanta, I have a surprise for you. He's a regular contributor to the show. His name is Rick Melero from his capital in Orlando. He's actually in studio today. He does not like awkward moments, and and there's a very distinct laugh that he has when he's laughing. Like, he has a genuine laugh versus that laugh which is like, hey, this is an awkward kind of situation I don't like being in. So I'm going to do my absolute best to create as many awkward situations today as possible. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, it's already begun.
It's already started.
Begun.
It's already started. Give us a little background, man. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, we're a real estate investment company, and we're actually coming to Atlanta right now on this trip to actually expand here and start lending money to other investors. Our background is real estate investments. We buy residential, commercial, we build, and we also lend money to other investors. And so it's kind of a diversified approach for our business.
So you like Atlanta, huh? Like, everybody likes Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is it because it's #1 for film? Or is it
I'm not
is
a
it
film guy as
because
much.
is it because of the Georgia Bulldogs? Is it because of Georgia Tech? Is it because the state name starts with the letter G and not the letter F?
No,
No, none of these things.
nope.
So
It's
what
the
is it about Atlanta?
long-term stability. I see a lot of growth
Okay.
here, and we feel that this is a really good market for us to expand our business and really build some relationships. Not to mention we have
Hey man,
Abhi,
I'm just saying.
right? It just is very special.
Right.
And we've been looking at this market now for 2 years. And so I believe in, like, there's a little Chinese proverb that says, think long and strike fast.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're doing now. We're striking fast.
You know, it's interesting. I know you and I had a conversation maybe a year and a half ago about your expansion to Georgia, and I think I think it's a good predictor of where the city is positioning itself and how the city is positioning itself. So, long-term stability aside, what else do you see, whether it's in the business market, the real estate market, the non-real estate related market, what sectors, industries, job growth areas do you find attractive here?
I think what I like about Atlanta is it's very diverse, meaning, you have, of course, the new filming industry kind of expanding here.
Yeah.
But you have very strong, stable businesses that are already here expanding. You have a lot of growth in the real estate sector. So I think there's a combination of all of these pieces that really make Atlanta very special and a very unique market to be here long term. I can see the future here. The next 10, 15 years is going to grow substantially.
Yeah.
Now, that also scares me because of your traffic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for those of you that are listening to Rick and you're thinking to yourself it's a good idea to move here, and you're actually in the process of moving, you happen to stumble on this channel as you're going down 85 south or 85 north or 75 north south, whatever, and you have a U-Haul and a moving truck. You can kindly take the next exit, turn around, and leave. Right? Like, I think it's too much, right? Don't you get frustrated with the traffic? I get frustrated with the traffic all the time. I have somebody in the right turn lane wanting to make a left on the phone, breaking the law, texting, doing her hair, makeup, or like his hair, makeup, whatever. Right? And it's just, it's crazy, right? Like, drive properly, people.
Yeah, no, actually,
Like,
we
please do
almost
that.
got run over.
I mean, you saw Rick.
Hey, welcome to Atlanta. Right? You're
It
gonna
was
get run
great. We
over.
almost got killed like twice, actually. Yesterday,
Nice.
So totally get that.
Nice. So let's talk about the business environment. If I'm a new entrepreneur, I'm thinking, well, geez, is now a good time to start a business? Is it?
I'm actually in a unique situation right now, it doesn't matter whether it's real estate or business in general. Typically, it's a lot easier to start a business during a growth cycle. And both in business and in real estate, we are experiencing a growth cycle. And so I think it's a really good opportunity to find, especially number one, I always tell people, if you're going to start a business, find what are you passionate about?
Yeah.
And is there a need in that marketplace that you can fill? Because if you're passionate about something, you're going to be more likely to be successful in that endeavor. I happen to love real estate, and I love what real estate gives me is the access to be able to expand, to go to Ukraine, do mission trips, which is really where my heart is. And so I've used the real estate sector as my business, which is the vehicle to fund the endeavors that I want to be in. So I always tell people, find a way to connect your passion with your business. And with the growth of what's going on right now, it's a perfect time to go out there. Lenders are out there willing to lend money on new businesses. You have a lot of equity investors now in the marketplace that are looking for new opportunities and advancements. So whether it's technology, real estate, I mean, pretty much any
right.
industry, there's opportunity right now.
I love what you're saying about the intersection between your passion and your business, right? I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, well, geez, I'm a listener that has a business. I'm thinking about growing it and expanding it, or I'm thinking about starting something. I found my passion, but I don't know if it's going to yield the financial benefit, the monetary benefit later down the road. How do I deal with that? Because that can be very difficult.
Yeah, what I tell people is you have to simplify. What a lot of people do during that time is they overcomplicate business and they start creating these business plans and
Yeah.
these strategies that have never even been tested. So why are you spending so much time on putting something together you've never built? So what I tell people is make a mess, and if it makes money, then start streamlining it and creating processes for it. So that's typically what I would tell people to do. My business plan is a one-page business plan till this day. We want simple. If we can implement, great. But if you have 20, 30 pages of ideas,
Yeah.
the reality is 90% of it will never come to pass. So
Yeah.
you might as well stay focused.
Warren Buffett also has just one-page business plans, doesn't he?
I feel honored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what he's absolutely known for, one-page business plans. I think great minds think alike for sure. I'm new. I'm a new entrepreneur, just graduated college, thinking, well, geez, I don't know if the corporate world is ready for me yet, or I'm not ready for it yet, and I want to build a lifestyle. Right? Lifestyle is super important. How do I make that happen? We have 2 minutes before we go to break.
Yeah, so let's solve the puzzle of life right now in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Um,
I think we can make this happen.
We can.
You're a genius, man. You're a miracle worker. Now you have a minute 50.
Okay. Yeah,
49.
No stress.
48.
Give me 10 more seconds. No, what I would tell people is, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of experience,
Yeah.
the best thing to do is look for a small business that's growing and expanding. Look for the leadership. And if you can get behind that leadership and build value for that business, many cases, they'll open the door for you to create an actual enterprise within that existing business. And so what that allows you to do is to be under a covering of an already successful business, that you have resources, staffing, and different things that you would never have on your own. And then you create a compensation plan by bringing value to that organization where now you become invaluable. And that's what I like to champion in my office. I want people that are entrepreneurs that won't necessarily build a business in my business, but they're building a business that is expanding the business. And therefore, I let them fly and go to the next level. So what I would say to somebody new is, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can start by working with somebody else that's already achieved it, bring value to their business, and then from there develop within your passion a new arm of that business and create value for that organization. That's the fastest and most effective way to do it, in my opinion.
I think having, well said, I think having entrepreneurs within your organization are really important, right? Because then you're hiring the best and brightest, and you're giving them that opportunity to really be themselves, and like pick up where they want to go, build that career for themselves so that they felt they did it, they've owned that. And you as the business owner, I mean, everybody makes money.
Everybody wins.
Which is always a good thing. All right, Orlando, we got to go to break. Here's what you got to do. Get in touch with His Capital at www.
HisCapitalGroup.com.
There we go. That wasn't awkward. That was nice. If you want to get in touch with me, want to schedule 15 minutes to chat, go to bookwithabhi.com. I also have a nationally syndicated radio show called Think Realty Radio, which discusses all things real estate investing. Check it out, thinkrealtyradio.com. Don't go anywhere. I'm right back. There we go.
Dead on,
man. That was like
right on.
trying to
Dude,
hit it right on the money.
I freaking love this cough button, bro.
Yeah.
I want to clear my throat just looking at it.
Right. Like, I got this.
It's great.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about market cycles, I think, next.
Okay.
Why are we in a growth cycle? What's next? How do we know?
Okay.
Production.
Yeah, so I'll do those intros. Let me write that down, otherwise I'm going to not do the
All
intros.
one word.
How much time do we have?
Oh, we have
30.
30 seconds.
It's all right. That's an eternity in this thing here.
Oh, man, yeah, it is.
It's perspective, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It gives so much perspective when you see it from that.
Yeah. It's like you can go to the bathroom, take a nap, come back. It's great.
You guys just doing something different?
T.R. Crumbie,
Yeah.
Igwe, Melton.
Well, we're about to
You still have a doctor's right now.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm always going to have a...
Yeah.
And then
The doctors.
a
And then
Mulcahy.
we're gonna set it up as a video studio.
This is Angel Oak. This is Atlanta Private Lending. This is Baker Collins. So I introed you to Kenneth via email.
Yes. It'll be
But
good to meet him.
yeah, so and his office is on 17th Street.
Okay, perfect.
Mulcahy. Who else? Who else do you want to meet?
Say hi to Rochelle.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Rochelle. Let's see. So we have Tiara, Igwe, Melton, Mulcahy. Who else?
Whoever you think would be a good asset, whether maybe a contractor, because we're probably going to do a few deals here, like right now, and just to kind of get our
10. Abhi.
Yep.
squirrel.
All right.
Hold on, I got a cough.
There we go.
Let's everyone cough at the same time.
It's all about that cough button.
That's right. Alright, I sent that too.
Right? It feels like total dancing music.
Yeah.
It feels so good. I don't know. Every time I think about the song, or every time I hear the song, I want to go to a beach somewhere, not necessarily San Francisco. I don't think San Francisco is known for their beaches, just a Golden Gate. But I want to grab a drink, chill out on a beach, read a book, and just like spend my day like that. I think making phone calls and then wondering why nobody's picking up. I think that would be that happens to me all the time. Hey, why are you calling? It's 5 a.m. Oh crap, sorry. Like I'm just trying to be productive here. All right, Atlanta, we are back. I'm your host, Abhi Golhar. My in-studio guest today, regular contributor to the show, Rick Melero from hiscapitalgroup.com. Check him out there. We've been talking about entrepreneurship, about business, about why it makes sense to continue to get started and some of these market cycles that we're in. And I'm a firm believer that market cycles don't exist. I think that markets only go in one direction, and that's up forever.
Wow. We totally vary in opinion on that.
So help me understand. If I'm a listener and I don't know what market cycle we're in, because I've been living under a rock for the last year and a half or two, or 10. Where are we? Where have we been, and where are we going?
Yeah, so to kind of break this down, I've done a lot of seminars where we talk about markets, specifically real estate market cycles. And when I ask people what a market is, you'd be amazed at how many very educated people cannot even answer that basic question. And so I think the first thing you need to understand is a market is literally all of the buyers and all of the sellers transacting on that one particular thing. So for example, if you're going to the gas station today, you're transacting in the fuel business, right? That's an actual market in itself. And so all of those different markets, from medical, business, real estate, all of those pieces represent a part of an economy. And the reality is all of the transactions that we're looking at, everything that takes place, it's a transaction that creates a spending, right? So when I spend money, somebody else makes money. And when they make money, they spend it. When they spend that money, somebody else makes money. And so obviously during a growth stage, people are making more money, which means they're spending more money, which ultimately grows and impacts the market. Now, unfortunately, when you really take a look at the real big cause of the actual market cycles, it's because they're dictated based on what is called debt. Debt is really what causes or guarantees that there will be a cycle. Because you see, during the growth stage, which is what we're going through right now, credit is easily available to people, which allows you to spend money you don't have, hoping that in the future you'll be able to pay back, because you're making more money, what you borrowed in the first place. And so what that guarantees is that what I borrowed today and I spend guarantees that in the next couple of years, I'm going to have to spend less than what I make in order to pay back what I borrowed in the first place from my future self. And so when you look at that, it guarantees that in the future, people will spend less. Well, if I spend less, that means somebody else is going to make less. And so it starts creating the complete opposite cycle component. And so we're kind of in a growth stage now. People are spending money. They feel rich. And to give you perspective, last time we looked at money versus credit, there are literally close to, I want to say it was $14 trillion in credit issued in the market.
That's right.
Versus like $4 trillion in cash. So actual cash is pretty low in comparison to debt. And so this just guarantees that there's going to be seasons where we can't pay back what we owe, or we have to spend less in order to pay back. And that just guarantees there's going to be a lull in the market. So you have to understand both sides so that you can position yourself to capitalize within each stage in the cycle.
So should I be concerned? Should I be concerned about where the U.S. is in terms of its debt clock? Like I go to, what is it, the USAdebtclock.com, and I just see these numbers increasing, right? Like in the hundreds of bajillions of trillions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you really think about it, our credit is our military right now. That's the only reason why we haven't gone bankrupt, because we have bigger missiles than they do. But the reality is, so you definitely have to look at that. And one of the things that I studied was the real estate cycle typically has a 5 to 10 year cycles historically. But then there's what is called an economic deleverage. And based on the research that I've done, that typically happens every 40 to 70 years. And that's just been happening since, I mean, the last one I looked at was 1819, so right after the War of 1812. And so when you look at this is very cyclical. It typically means that we've got excited, so we kind of loosened our guidelines and our standards. We went out there and we started actually borrowing money. The actual banks started getting loose on their guidelines. They started issuing credit without necessarily any backing. So just issued paper.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's historical. It just keeps happening again and again. So when you look at our government currently right now and how much money was being borrowed, at some point is going to come to a head. So you have to be very aware of what's going on. Some of our investments have even gone globally to even diversify from the U.S. debt, just to be safe, just in case. I'm not saying that we're going under, and I don't want to scare people, but you have to have the foresight to really position yourself if you ever want to capitalize, regardless of the circumstances.
So should I also take a look at then, in order to diversify? Let's say I don't know a whole lot about real estate investing, but you should, right? If you're listening, you absolutely should be paying attention and getting involved in the real estate investing space. But if you're not, I understand, right? Nobody's perfect. You probably don't visit your dentist like as much as you should. So here's a question. Is it good enough for me? Should I just go to equities, right? Go pick a mutual fund that's diverse enough, whether it's a TD or a Vanguard or Merrill or whatever, and find something that's diversified amongst different industries that follows, say, the S&P 500. Is that good enough for me? And maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, what I tell people that, not everybody's created equal. Some people have the ability to make money and they're very, good stewards of their capital. Other people are not quite so much. So for those people, sometimes it just makes sense. They're better off putting the money in the hands of other big organizations that are going to diversify them. Because if they had the money, they wouldn't even know what to do with it. And I've met people like that. Or they don't have what I call the risk tolerance. So what ends up happening is they're having a heart attack because their money's at risk. I mean, I've seen actually one of our guys in the office, his very first flip, I thought he was going to have a freaking heart attack. And I mean, every day he wore it on his sleeve. His productivity dropped by like 50%. He couldn't sleep at night. He looked depressed. After he sold that property, he was a new man, right? Why? Because he couldn't deal with the pressure of managing your money and having your money at risk. So it just depends on the person and where they are. If you're really busy, it's kind of convenient. But what I always tell people is, it's your money, so you should learn how to manage your money because nobody's going to care about your money more than you. And so, as long as you're looking at it from the perspective of what I call an actual portfolio strategy, I think as long as you have passive income that you're building some growth, you can take a little bit of risk, but you have to be very careful with those decisions. You have to develop a plan and then start implementing that plan until you get to that place of diversification.
How does one determine their risk tolerance? Is it like I like Star Trek, so I'm adventurous?
You're gonna make it.
Right. It's the final frontier, bro.
Yeah.
That's right. Flipping is
Hashtag.
the final right. It's the final frontier for me. How do I know what my risk tolerance is? Should I jump into a flip? Should I go buy single family? Should I just go buy a bunch of bonds and call it a day if I'm 80 years old? Like, help me understand this.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we've done, in fact, if somebody's interested, they can send an email to our office. Just put support at hiscapitalgroup.com.
Or you can also text Rick on his personal cell phone number.
And it is not going to happen. I get too many phone calls already. But
Right.
what we do is we have a basic questionnaire that we've actually kind of designed with some key questions to draw out
Okay.
from the individuals. Because what we found is we get that question quite a bit. Well, what should I be doing? And so some of those questions help you to put in perspective, where am I now financially? Can I actually afford to lose this money, or is this everything that I have and I'm 75 years old? And so I think a lot of times your circumstances, your situation, your age, kind of your passions will help you to identify at what level of risk you should be taking. And so some of those questions we put together is to kind of help bring clarity. We don't have a specific plan of what you will implement. Basically, our goal is to kind of draw out of you where you are now and where you want to be and whether you can afford to take some of the risks that you need to take.
So we have about 2 minutes before we go to break. I want to talk about becoming a better steward of my capital, right? What that really involves, what that really entails. I think going into the break, you've come across folks that have not invested well.
Yes.
What are some top pro tips that you have for folks to maybe get thinking on the right path of what they need to start doing so they don't end up screwing up financially?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, first of all, what I've learned, most of the people that are calling themselves investors, the biggest mistake that they make is they don't actually have an end game. They don't even have a plan. So what they end up doing is they go into, for example, I'm going to be a flipper because it makes a lot of money. What they don't realize is that flipping should be a strategy that you implement within your portfolio. It shouldn't be your business. And so what starts happening is they start gambling and say, well, hey, this property is going to be worth so much more. And so they end up gambling on these investments. They're not really investing. So that's one of the biggest things. The other thing I found that most people make the mistake, especially during the growth cycle, is that, hey, lenders are willing to give me more money. So they over leverage their investments. And so it could have been a decent deal.
Right?
Yeah, it could have been a decent deal. But now, because it took a little longer, you had to pay that extra mortgage payment. And before you know it, you did the deal for free. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with making money as the lender. But I'm telling you that if you over leverage, the only person exposed is you, not the lender. And so that's another big, big issue that I've seen a lot of people make.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the lender side, right? Like, that's why that makes a lot of sense to me. It's mailbox money, right? It makes sense.
I love it.
And then you are helping the guy or the gal that wants to gain more traction in the speculation space and flipping, but, sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out. They end up with nothing, and you end up with interest payments.
At least we got paid.
At least you get paid. All right, got to go to break. Go to hiscapitalgroup.com. Get in touch with me at abhigolhar.com. When we come back, we're talking about the fact that the average American has $25,000 in retirement.
Dead on, bro.
Boom.
It's almost like you do this every day. I don't know.
Huh?
It's almost like you see the clock and he's like, blah, blah, blah.
Boom.
Oh
Like
yeah,
dead on.
that's all I'm staring at. I don't stare at anything else. That's it.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good. Yeah, 98% of people end up broke at 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you get into that pool where now it's all or nothing. I gotta go large now because I'm sucking mud and I'm behind the eight ball. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've gotta go all in.
Yeah, the guy in West Palm Beach that worked with Steve
Yeah.
Weston, same thing happened. We went to his office and it was like, dang. And we started looking at the margins and he's like, yeah, man, we just have, 7-figure salaries that we have to pay, so we got to get any deal. And I'm like, well, so
Jeez.
you're risking all these investments on a $15,000 is your minimum profit margin for any deal just because they have to keep turning.
Oh really?
Yeah, so before long, Steve called me and he's like, hey, I'm trying to get out of there because he had invested in it.
I don't blame him.
And so he was worried about his money for sure. But
It's even a novice that's even trying to start, right? I mean, think realty, all the newbies that come in, where we directing them, what are we trying to
Yeah.
really enlighten them with? And I don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
To caution them from the ills.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we're also in a time where people will take advantage of other people.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
big
Like
time.
that's
The nature of our business.
It's the
Yeah.
filter nation. They make it look pretty when it really.
yeah.
It's-
365 days of the year, right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, Instagram, it's
Yeah.
so happy, it's so amazing when my life is actually rotting in real
when
life.
I'm filing
Like-
bankruptcy right now. You know.
Right. Right. Like you can't do that. That doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
And from the real estate side of it, even the contractors, right? You get a good contractor, you don't want to give them up to anybody.
Yeah.
But now that guy's compounding deep with gigs, he's trying to expand. and he's
The
gonna
quality drops.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like a doctor, right? Like the doc is not going to run an efficient business. That's not what they do,
Right.
right? They're great at healing patients, but when it comes to running a business, they don't know how to do that. They didn't
Yeah.
go to B school. They don't have any like business operations courses.
Oh, it's even scaling the business. Rick. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
totally.
attached to the business. How do you let go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the journey I'm
I don't
on
want to
right
let go.
you
It's
trust
mine.
You trust your posse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're right.
creating those systems so that you can step out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's been a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But
No,
the
for
good news
sure.
is, I left last time to Ukraine and came back and they were killing it. They were like, "I'm so glad you're not here." I'm like, "Wow, I feel the love, man. Like I'm
Right.
fired."
Right.
It's
I'll
awesome.
sedate the offices though, man. I gotta tell you, everybody's going about their thing. There's no chaos, no.
It was
That's
great.
awesome, man.
Comical to see, really.
Yeah. It's like we're glad you came out, but you can leave anytime.
Yeah.
Like,
All
thanks,
right.
guys.
We got
Hey,
you.
go get us more money. All right, I'll work on that.
Go
That's
Starbucks,
incredible.
man.
Yeah.
Right, right. That's awesome. But that's the way it should be, right? Like that's indicative of a business that's running well.
I mean, that's what you build it for, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's, for the next adventure or for what it is that you really want to accomplish. You know, it's
Yep.
just to serve it.
Right. A what?
1 minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We got time. Oh, Starbucks come back with a latte in 1 minute. Or maybe not.
Yeah.
Probably.
You could probably get there fast enough. It's the line that's gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta have a dumb waiter. Sit up.
Right. Right.
That's great.
That's fun. Yeah. So this retirement issue, being a good steward of capital, finishing well. How do you do that? Passive income. What does that mean?
Yeah,
We have 2 more segments. Should be
we
plenty
got
of time.
plenty to cover that.
Yeah. And then while you're doing that, I'll send out these email addresses.
Cool. Multitasking over here.
I'm trying to multitask.
Yeah.
It's sometimes difficult.
What is, we were just talking about the sloth or whatever that's really. What's it called? Lightning?
About a strip.
Flash. You were the opposite of Flash.
Because I'm slow.
It's a little no in Zootopia.
Fast.
Oh, nice.
So you are like you wouldn't be. Flash was super slow. You're like the complete opposite.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Different.
I'll show you the movie.
I-
I'll show you the clip.
Ah,
You'll,
okay.
you'll laugh and you'll
Slow
probably
fast.
go crazy.
That's fair. Flash. All right, we are back. I'm your host, Abhi Golhar. I hope you are enjoying some of this music, my little mood music. I think that's the more. I don't know what I'm saying.
It sounds better than nude, which is what I thought. you
Yes,
said first.
exactly. It's mood music for the rest of the day. So you can actually go to YouTube, type in San Francisco music happy days. I think 2018. I think that's the name of the YouTube video. If you want to just listen to it at work or when you're rocking your next $1 million meeting. Yeah, put yourself out of like the rigmarole of the day. I think that's always a good thing, and then get out of your own way. Like I think sometimes we're forcing things to happen too much. It's like I need this to happen, and then it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, or gets delayed because of you.
Exactly, exactly. And I lost my pen. All right, so retirement. The let's talk about retirement for a second. The average American has less than $30,000 in their retirement account. I'm sure they have some equity in the house, but that's a problem, right? Like that's a systemic.
Substantial.
That's a failure that we as a country have gotten there, right? That's such an issue.
It's a major issue, actually, especially with people living longer,
That's right.
and you basically outlive your money.
So how do we fix it? What do we do?
Well, it's very simple. It's called get out of debt and save money. It's really that simple. What I tell people is, you have to first and foremost consider all of your consumer debts or any debts that you're making payments on for a lifestyle that you currently have. You need to start thinking about the lifestyle you want to have in the future. If you're not looking forward thinking, you're never going to get to that because you're going to always be servicing the debt that supports your existing lifestyle. But at some point, you're not going to be able to physically work the way you can work right now in order to support that. So what I tell people is make a bill, make that bill your savings, and start storing up that capital. That's the very first thing you need to do. We ran a little calculation, which is really interesting, where let's say you save just $50,000, and every year you literally put another $3,000 a year. Well, over the course of 15 years, if you're just earning an 8% return that you don't touch, it's something passive. You could be walking out with close to $500,000 of money just doing that. So it's not that it's impossible. It's not that it's unattainable. It's that we're not disciplined enough to start putting that money aside for the future. So I really believe if you're going to look for the future, you want to have something, be aggressive. Start setting aside at least a third of your income. Be extremely aggressive to put that money in savings. And once it gets, to a certain level, then you can start putting that money to work. I always look at money like a little employee. And I always say, I'm going to send you out there
That's right.
to go work and come back with another 25%.
That is such a nice perspective, right?
And
like
that's a key.
you're building your army.
Yes, and I
Right,
want
you
my
have-
army to keep working for me so that while I'm sleeping, it's still working. And that's the real mentality that we should have.
Right, and you have different lieutenants and generals in place to like
Absolutely.
direct. The flow of capital is very interesting, and we talk about this concept of being a good steward of your own capital. It starts at home first. It starts with you first.
Yes.
And if we have this inherent fear or this disbelief that I still hear it today, right? Like money is evil. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? It makes you super greedy. It's not the right kind. Like, come on, right? Like, get over yourself.
Yep. What I tell people is money doesn't change you. It makes you more of who you are.
That's right.
So if you're a big spender, you're going to spend more money.
That's right.
If you're greedy, you're going to be more greedy. But what I tell people is you have to discipline yourself and think about your future. And so if you can put a plan that's simple and you start storing that money aside, you'll be amazed how many options you'll have in 5 years. It'll blow your mind how many things you could do. And that's why, even with us, we always talk about the 40-40-20 plan.
Yes.
40% of my
that's right.
money, we're looking for the highest potential yield of, appreciating assets that we bought at a discount.
Yep.
The other 40% has to be passive income that comes every month, whether it's rental properties,
Month
we
in,
have
month out.
commercial, and lending. I mean, that's why we do lending, because every month we get paid.
Yep.
And it's passive. And then, of course, that 20%, once you get to that level of savings where you have enough, that's when you look for the whale.
That's
and you
right.
have the money available to take that
And
risk.
then it's fun.
Yeah,
and then
then
it's
it's-
absolutely fun. So
absolutely.
if you want to make a nice, generous donation to my Ferrari fund, go to abhisferrarifund.com. How do we create a plan, right? How do we put something in place that's actionable, that's not just bogus, that's not just like, okay, I'm going to move $500 a month into a money market account and then figure out what to do with it? What should I be focused on as a business owner that has a little bit of income coming in? I'm supporting my current lifestyle. I understand that I have to save. Hit me with it.
Yeah, so I mean, what I would really say to anybody that's already got an existing business, or many cases we have doctors or other professionals that are earning money, or actually we have one customer who's passive. I forgot what kind of sales industry he's in, but they make $200,000-300,000 a year selling. So what he's doing now is he's allocating a third of his money. He knows now, he's recognized what is the current lifestyle that he wants to be in that's still conservative enough. And instead of getting in debt, he's refusing to get in debt, and he's putting all that money aside. So the more money he makes doesn't increase his lifestyle cost.
Yeah.
He stays where he is, and he starts taking that extra money and putting it aside and saving it over time. That's really where you have to begin. So if you're a business owner and you make $200,000-300,000 a year, well, then you have more options. But if you make $45,000 a year, we have one customer. It's incredible. She literally makes $40,000 a year in an actual nonprofit organization. She literally brought down her expenses so that she could live off. I think it was she makes 40. She basically was saving 10,000 a year, and over the last 3 years, she's been able to invest her money. Well, now her car got messed up, so she had to replace the vehicle. So what does she do? Instead of going out there and just getting in debt, she calculated what her monthly payments would be if she invested the money at 8%. And now she actually is getting $50 a month in positive cash flow after paying for her brand new car from the revenue that's coming in from the investment. So she never had to touch the money. And so there's strategies that you can implement like that. And here's a girl that makes only 40 grand a year.
That's doing this.
Yeah,
right.
it's not impossible.
And doesn't that validate that the rich buy assets and the poor buy liabilities?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right? And I mean, it's a mindset, but you really have to look at that. What am I doing?
Right.
And most people, the moment they start breaking down what their monthly expenses are, you can find where all the fat is that you're wasting. And you really need to be realistic about your future.
I wonder what she's investing in.
Notes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what she's doing. So
Geez, I love notes.
Yeah,
Right.
she's getting an 8% return every month she gets paid. And we calculated she's basically taking the cash flow that she made from 3 years of savings, and instead of throwing that into a car cash, she financed it, and she makes $50 a month in cash flow after the interest payment pays for the car. And so we calculated her actual cost for the term of the loan will be about $1,500 for a brand new vehicle by the term of the actual. It's great. I love it.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's huge.
It's extremely smart, and this is a girl again. We're not talking a millionaire. We're not talking somebody that makes 6 figures. Only 40,000 a year. Her living expenses were reduced to 30, so she's got that spread every year. She's saving $10,000. So now she's creating options for herself, where other people would have. I make 40, so I live off 50.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the issue. You have to be disciplined. You have to think about the future.
Yeah, I think the late Jim Rohn said if your outgo exceeds your income, your what?
Upkeep will be your downfall.
Becomes your downfall. It's so true, right? It's
Yes.
absolutely so true. Hopefully, maybe today you'll have the opportunity to meet one of my co-founders of NP Hub. What we do is we connect the nurse practitioners with for their training with preceptors around the country.
Oh, really?
And I going into this, I told him we have to make sure that we save to invest, right? Whatever we do, the business has to do that. And we've been doing that slowly but surely. And it just works. If you start with that mindset, it becomes a lot easier instead of having to modify your financial process later,
Right.
right? You have to start with that now, and then it will be there at the end.
Absolutely. And what I've learned is you can start with a small amount, and it's almost like working out. In the beginning, it's like, ugh. But you keep saving that, and before long, you get so disciplined that, now I'm going to save $2,000 a month. And it
Right.
becomes easier to put your money aside because you develop the mindset and the actual habit of putting the money aside. I mean, my wife and I, we literally have one account. We don't have any debit cards. We don't have anything. And any little extra stuff that comes out, we just put it there. And then we decided at that point, do we reinvest it? We talked about my daughter 7, buying her rental property so she could learn. And so it's things like that it gives you options because you were prudent enough now to make the necessary changes to adjust your life so that in the future you're where you want to be, not where somebody else wants you to be.
So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Not where somebody else wants you to be. How do I get myself out of a position where somebody's kind of telling me where I do need to be?
Well, I mean, you start by you have to become free, right? I mean, you can't literally put yourself in a position where you're going to get out
Yeah.
of, call it, you need to work, right? You need to pay your bills to feed your family. But if you start figuring out savings and maybe you get to the place where you can save 6 months of your living expenses, then at least what that does, it gives you the ability that if you find a new interest, if you find a new business or a new career path,
Yeah.
you can take the risk to step out and do it. But if you don't have anything in savings, you're kind of, really gambling. So what I tell people is if you want to transition, if you're not happy where you are, make that plan. Make that a goal for the next year. Let me save enough money so that if I transition to a commission-only position where I can make more money, or if I go into another industry and it maybe takes 2-3 months to find a job where I'm passionate, then you have the resources so that you're not stressing out because you'll lose productivity every time you're stressed out.
Yeah.
You want to have some of those resources. And then just find what you're passionate about. That's what I've learned. If you're not passionate about it, life is too short. You only have one life to live.
That's right.
Find what you love
That's
and
right.
go pursue that to the next level.
Isn't that the name of a soap opera? One Life to Live?
One life to live. Wow.
Isn't it? Right? Like from
That's
the 90s?
that's a throwback.
Wow.
It's not Thursday yet, man.
Dude, this is kind of
It's the 80s, bro.
gee whiz. I don't know where I got that or pulled that out from. Holy cow. It's definitely Labor Day today. Like it has to be Labor Day today. All right, we got to go to break. The last 10 minutes of gold is coming up on the Abhi Golhar Show with my in-studio guest Rick Melero from his Capital Group out of Orlando. Check him out at hiscapitalgroup.com. When we come back, you're a business owner, you want to finish well. What's the pathway to do that so you don't just end up with a boat and no oars? That's another late Jim Rohn quote.
I like it.
All right. Be right back. I'm like rocking this Jim Rohn stuff right now. I really like it. Right? It fits. It's good.
So about that Starbucks.
Right, about that Starbucks.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah. We're actually probably, I would love to.
Caribou man.
I am a Caribou man, but like Starbucks is right there. It's like 30 seconds away. Yeah. I do like Caribou though. Caribou doesn't burn their coffee. Yeah. But you know what? Like that's another example we can pull. Right? Like, why are you paying $4 for a freaking Starbucks?
When you can't afford it.
Everybody does.
Right. Because it's so ridiculous. Right? It's not even good for you. You'll end up with like high blood pressure or something. Isn't that like what happens?
Actually, yeah.
Right?
It's like talking to Alexander, the car guy, right?
Yeah.
He goes back to Chicago in the freaking wintertime to go check on his properties.
Yeah.
Like a fireman. You know, he runs into a burning building whenever
Right.
he's running out.
Yeah, that's when you run away from the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna freeze.
Yeah. No, sorry. I need to get my pen now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So this gal that you were talking about, she invested how much?
She saved over the course of 3.5 years, $35,000. So she
Okay.
put that in a small mortgage.
There you
and
go.
8% return is paying her car payment, and she still has $50 left over every month. Because what she was going to do is, she's in the whole I don't want to be in debt, so she was going to take her
That's
savings
so awesome.
and actually
Yeah.
buy a brand new car. But then when they ran the numbers, it's like, what are you doing? I mean, why don't you buy a car for $1,500? Let your borrower pay for your car. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what she did. Her borrower is literally paying for her car right now, and
I
she still
love
has
it.
money left over.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
so
probably one of
smart.
the coolest testimonials we had this year so far.
There's no doubt about it.
Because I mean, it's real. It's anyone
Well,
can,
it's
you
the
know.
level, right?
Yeah.
It's the level that it's at. It's not at the high game, right? This is you and me.
Yeah.
Joe Schmo on the street. You can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
For
Doesn't
sure.
have to be, I mean, you know, yeah, I'm gonna flip this house and make $100,000. Well, what are you gonna do with that $100,000?
Right.
If you can make that $100,000, because you don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's almost worth it to hold on to the property for the extra year. Right? Like, take your time, hold on to it so you don't get hit with capital gains.
Yep.
And then now you have, what is it, section 199A? Where
Yeah,
if
there's
you are
some new-
actively, if you're actively flipping or in the real estate business, the first $20,000 in profit that you make for the year is tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, yeah, being a good steward.
Thank you, Trump.
All right, hey, thank you very much,
We know
bro.
that was self-serving right there, but I'm okay with that.
Super self-serving. Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget to mention that you're moving into Atlanta, boss.
Dude, I'm gonna get a cough button in my office.
Are we meeting more after this?
Hmm?
We're meeting more after this? What's good?
All right, we are back to the last 10 minutes of the Abhi Golhar Show. I'm your awesome freaking host with the smoothest voice on radio. And Delilah used to have the smoothest voice on radio.
She got called out.
Until no, so I don't know. I like doing that. It's fun for me, right? NPR, they're really good at enunciating and pronunciating. I'm not, so I have to call out on somebody that I feel I can compete with. I would call out Frank Sinatra, but I can't do that anymore, which is too bad, really. I think he and I would have had a lot of fun. So now I have Delilah, right? So now it's Delilah. Anyway, good mood music, that one. Hey, all right. We got to get to the show. My in-studio guest, Rick Melero from His Capital Group. We've been talking about finishing well financially, what that means for business owners, being a good steward of your capital. And that example that we were kind of talking about during the break of the gal that saved, what was it, the 30-something thousand?
About $35,000.
About roughly $35,000. She makes how much a year?
She literally basically makes $40,000 in her salary a year. She lives off 30, so every year she's saving $10,000. That's basically her goal every single year.
And so she saved, over the last 3 years, she saved $30,000, maybe a little bit over.
Yep.
She took that 30, invested in a note,
Correct.
and is making 8% a year on the 30.
Correct.
So roughly $2,400.
Correct.
And she had a need for a car
Correct.
recently, and she said instead of buying a car cash, I'm going to invest in a vehicle. Haha. I'm going to invest in
No pun intended.
Right, no pun intended. I'm going to invest in something that's going to give me a return so I can pay for the car.
Correct. So in essence, her borrower
What a
is
mindset.
paying for her vehicle.
Isn't that
It's-
crazy?
It's amazing, and I would say it's probably one of the biggest testimonials in our organization for this year. Not because of the size of the investment, but because it's such a realistic, attainable goal that if you're smart about the way you do things, just think about the mindset. Somebody else would have said, I'm just going to borrow the money. Somebody else may have said, I'm just going to use all of the cash to buy this car. But it's a liability. It's depreciating.
Yeah.
She finally had the foresight to say, wait a minute, if I actually were to take a look at the situation, why don't I invest in an income producing asset and take the income that's generating to pay for my liability? So at the end of the term of that loan for the vehicle, she's enjoyed this car for less than $1,500, which is what I think she was putting as a down payment for the vehicle. That's it.
Wow.
And so it's brilliant if you really think about it. And simple. You could do it too.
So if we take it further, let's say she didn't need the car, right? So now she's saving the $10,000 a year, plus the additional $2,400 a
Exactly.
year in interest, and you have to pay. You'll pay capital gains on the interest, of course.
Mhm.
But let's say you're saving $2,000 a year out of that. Then guess what? Now you're saving $12,000 a year, and that just continues to compound and
Yep.
compound and compound. And let's say in another 10 years, in another 3 years, she has another $30,000 that she invests. Now you're making, and now she's making a second $2,400 a year in interest. And now she's saving the initial $10,000 a year from her job, plus the $2,000 a year after tax, say,
Mhm.
of note number one, another $2,000 a year, note number two. I mean, how much more do you need? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you just keep going. If you are at that income level, perfect. You're
Yeah.
rocking the house with that.
Absolutely.
Right?
You can ultimately, within 10 years, supplement your entire salary with that preferred interest coming in every month.
Absolutely.
And you, at that point, you're free. You don't have to work.
Right.
We also ran the numbers on an investment where, let's say you had 50,000 to begin with, and every year, especially in our industry, I mean, you can flip a property, make 25 grand. So if you just do 4 a year, you made 100,000. If you just allocated literally 25,000 of that every single year
Yep.
for the next 15 years, you would end up having about $1 million of actual invested capital in loans, for example. And if you're making that 8%, you're making $80,000 a year in passive income.
Yeah.
So you have a salary and you're not even touching the $1 million you saved. So, I mean, it's really not that difficult. It's all about just planning it, having a simple strategy, and then staying consistent with that implementation.
So that's powerful. You need to repeat that. Because if I'm listening, I'm like, there's no way this is possible, right? I'm marching over to my favorite bank, and I'm going to stick my money in a CD because, Rick, I don't believe a word you're saying.
Yeah, well, even that would be better than actually spending it like most people would.
Yeah,
But-
that's true.
But yeah, no, it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, it has to be simple, because I've learned if
Yeah,
you
that's right.
complicate it, it'll never happen. You set that goal and you're consistently trying to implement that goal.
Yeah.
There may be months where you have an expense that comes up, something's got to get fixed, but overall, if you stay consistent with the strategy, it will pay for itself. And you'll look back and say, wow, look at where I'm at today because of the sacrifice I literally chose to make several years ago. And so that's really what it comes down to when you start designing your future in your life. I have a good buddy of mine. He's actually an executive coach. He's working with us. And he bought a few rental properties with loans. His goal was, and he's like 37 years old, his goal was by 35 to own his house free and clear. And he achieved that. And not only did he achieve that, but he's actually paid off 2 of his 4 rental properties
There you
free
go.
and clear. And so it's incredible because now, because of that sacrifice, his wife can stay at home. And it doesn't mean he has to make more money.
Yeah.
He doesn't owe anything. And on
Yeah.
top of that, he's got passive income coming from these rental properties. Now his wife can stay at home without pressure.
And that's the secret behind rentals. Right?
Yeah.
Like, paying off that note is so crucial. If you're
Absolutely.
not doing that, then you're leveraged to the hilt. And that's
Yep.
the challenge that sometimes a lot of folks face is, I'm going to go out and buy and acquire. Well, don't do all of that. Don't just buy to buy. Buy to pay down debt, because then your cash flow will buy more house faster.
Absolutely. Yeah, we
And that's
actually
the secret.
we did that actually. We did a test. We had like 25 properties that
Yeah.
we used some leverage, not a lot of leverage, but and then what you do is you start allocating. Even if you started with just 3 or 4 properties, allocate 100% of your cash flow towards paying just one of them down.
Yeah.
Before you know it, in a couple of years, you own that house free and clear. You take that cash flow, you start paying down the other one, and before you know it, within 5 years, you own 2 or 3 rental properties free and clear, and they're all paying $900 a month.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a game changer. Not to mention the fact that
Totally.
you have equity growing, you have cash flow. And you don't have to work because now you're creating that passive revenue stream that frees you to be able to do whatever it is that you want. And I think that's the game changer, is having that foresight.
So on my afternoon show called Think Realty Radio, we discuss these types of strategies in like detail. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, obviously get in touch with Rick and his team at hiscapitalgroup.com. And then go to thinkrealtyradio.com. You can tune in here locally at 3 p.m. Again, you can also go to thinkrealtyradio.com. I've had so many fun guests on that show. I interviewed the chief economist at Fannie Mae. He's a skydiver, which is kind of interesting to me.
Very interesting.
Considering considering his role. But I'm a huge real estate fan. I love investing in real estate, and I love investing in business. And the two just really marry each other really well, because now you have, say, a distribution event from the business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a position where you're running your own business and you've invested in others, for example, don't take that cash flow for granted. Use that and push it somewhere else, just like this gal in your story.
Yeah.
Right? You have a distribution event. Distribution event A throughout the year, say quarter one, at the end of Q1 2019, you know you're going to get $25,000-$30,000. Awesome. Go to a local bank, invest in a leverage a rental, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go buy a rental, and then later on in the year you can go work with his capital and invest in a note, right? Like
Yep.
the 8-9%. I think that's fantastic, phenomenal. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over, and all of a sudden you have more cash flow than you know what to do with, and it doesn't take you very long to get there.
Exactly.
It just doesn't.
It works.
Help me break down like this one idea that, Rick, this is going to take forever. Because I'm walking away thinking, this all sounds great. This is awesome. I've enjoyed the show, last minute here. But, man, it's going to take me forever to get there. It's going to be like 50 years. I'm going to be old. I'm going to be 95.
Yeah, you will be if you survive. And that's the thing you have to realize is some people don't even get the opportunity to get to that age.
Yeah.
And so I think is the perspective, where, again, a lot of people are just, it's impossible. I'm just not going to do it. But the reality is, what are you going to do if you live that long? You have no choice. I mean, really, when you break it down, it's either you do something now that benefits you and your family in the future, or you waste your money now, and in the future you'll be working at McDonald's for somebody else.
Yeah.
And because you have no other options, you have to continue to work. So I really encourage people, start creating a plan. It could start small. Trust me, before long, it will grow and it'll reach the next level.
Rick, thanks so much for joining me, man.
Thank you,
It was
man.
so much fun. In studio instead of over the phone.
It was awesome.
Always fun. All right, go to hiscapitalgroup.com. And if you don't want to be working at McDonald's when you're 95, and quite frankly, I think you might be working for the artificial intelligence at that time.
Yeah.
Invest well. Learn what that means. Get in touch with Rick and his team. Got questions for me? AbhiGolhar.com is where I live. See you tomorrow, Atlanta.
Nice job, boys.
That was a
Dano,
good show.
That was fun, man.
Good job.
Hold on, I gotta do it one more time.
All right.
That's it, bro.
That is a total winner.
I did. I don't know.
Turn your head and cough.